Goodbye. Say hi.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Sherry.
Hello, Wally.
How are you today?
Good.
Boy, what's the apparatus we got set up here, ain't it?
It's so fun, all these layers.
All these wires. Anyways, hang on to my mic. Got the disclaimer. Before we get started, I have to read the disclaimer. This is a public service announcement coming to you live from 288 Genesee Street, Suite 214, aka Dirty Laundry, the show. What's so funny?
So they're wrong address.
188 Genesee Street. 288, 188. Who's going to come and see us anyway, right?
Correct.
So this I have to say. Dirty Laundry, cleaning up the truths. Hello, my name's Wally. Welcome to Dirty Laundry, cleaning up the truths. I'm your host, and alongside is my fabulous friend, Sherry Campanola. We're here to tackle the messy side of life and help you clean up the clutter of misconceptions and hidden truths. Let's face it, we all have dirty laundry. Those thoughts, experiences, and stories that tend to keep tucked away. But today, we're turning the tide. Our mission is to scrub away the stigma, air out the messy details, and dive into the real issues that affect us all. From the challenges we face in our relationships to everyday struggles of simply being human. Are you human?
Most of the time.
We're here to unpack it all. Each week or month, we'll share our own stories, explore different perspectives, and provide practical advice on how to clean up the messes in our lives. We want to create a space where honesty shines bright, and together we can find clarity amid the chaos. So whether you're doing your own laundry or just looking to freshen up your perspective, join us as we sift through the dirt and uncover the truths that can help us grow and connect. Welcome to Dirty Laundry, cleaning up the truths. Let's get started on this journey together. Yay! Woo-hoo! Okay, Sherry, aka Sandy, how's your day?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yep.
Look at the mic, wave to the mic. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
I mean, now that's a mic too, actually. So that's recording me too. So I guess we'll start. We'll just get right into it. We'll get into it, as they say. Let's get into it. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. What's going on in town?
The Department of Corrections is currently on strike. The New York State Department of Corrections, and I think that would be a good thing to talk about. Don't you?
Yes, it's big news.
Well, tell me. Big news to you? You really think?
Well, it affects people that we know, family.
Who?
I have friends that are COs.
I don't have any friends that are COs. What's a CO?
Correction officer.
Oh. Yeah, so I went over there actually with my youngest daughter, and I tried to get somebody to come on to the show that was a sergeant, and apparently he got his stripes stripped from him because he went on strike. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think that they should be punished for trying to make their
Speak up.
I don't think that they should be punished for making their workplace better.
But you think the prisoners should?
I do not think the prisoners
Well, the prisoners haven't had a shower in 11 days, 12 days.
Exactly. There's lots of tentacles. The inmates are not having
That's your answer? There's lots of tentacles?
No, you interrupted me and didn't let me finish my sentence.
Okay, go ahead.
So the inmates haven't had showers, they haven't had regular food, they're stuck in their cells. The reason why, because there's not enough COs to make sure that there's no dangerous situations happening. which is not fair for the inmates. I can see why the COs think that, but the longer that the inmates stay in their cells, I think once they get let out, they're gonna be even madder than they are now, and it'll just be worse.
So what do you suggest?
I suggest that the union decides to,
The
Or
union
they
already did
agree.
decide.
they agree, the union and the COs, right? It should be a team effort. If they're representing the COs should have a say in the agreement. The union shouldn't make it.
Well, the
By
whole thing
themselves.
is, from what I understand, over the HALT Act. And the HALT Act is where you can only keep somebody locked in solitary confinement for 7 days or less. Of course, my phone rings during a show. Sure, it doesn't ring all day long, but of course, it's got to ring right now.
But I know who it is.
Go ahead.
The HALT Act, yes, it is a way to, it is,
You don't know what it is?
I do.
Then what is it?
You can't lock a person up indefinitely in solitary
You
confinement.
can't lock a person up now for more than 7 days. They're saying that when you lock somebody up in solitary confinement for more than 7 days, that it's inhumane procedures. They're saying that the people turn into animals and they go crazy, basically.
Right.
Would you agree?
Pretty much, that's what I said earlier. The longer that they are trapped.
Would you agree that that would happen to you?
I think I would feel a certain type of way and be mad at whoever is locking me in there, even though it's not their fault technically.
So the prison guards are in a prison working. They went through boot camp. They got their whatever ranks as they went in. They knew what they were walking into. They knew they were going to get feces thrown on them. They knew they were going to get spit on. They knew that they weren't going to be liked. And now we are on strike because they're crying like babies, because they don't want to do their job, because they don't want to get spit on like they knew they were gonna. They don't want to get peed on like they knew they were gonna. They don't want to get feces thrown at them like they knew they were gonna. And quote unquote, it's unsafe conditions. So my experience with COs is typically, and I don't have anything wrong with rednecks. The culture of redneckism is fine, is well. I don't have any problem with rednecks. What I do have a problem with is treating somebody less than human. I have a huge problem with the way that COs treat prisoners. And I think there's always going to be an angst. See, years ago, back in the 30s and 40s, prisons were reformed. In fact, this specific prison, there used to be factories all up and down the river, all up and down Genesee Street. Colombian Rope was down, I don't know where Family Dollar is, down on Genesee Street. There was a big factory called Colombian Rope. Don McCarthy's was right next door to the prison, and it employed a lot of people. And what would happen back in the olden days, when somebody got arrested, they would go to prison and they would get reformed. And they would take those prisoners and they would put them in the factories and work. Because typically they weren't getting locked up for stabbing somebody in the neck or selling 65,000 bags of heroin, right? Typically it was like stealing a pack of gum, or because let's face it, things weren't as broad as they are now, right? There weren't so many options back then. You either could steal a loaf of bread or a pack of gum. Now you can steal cars and gold and rob banks and do all this crazy, sell drugs and go to prison. So anyways, they would take the prisoners and they would put them in the factories so they would work. And so when they got out of prison, they would actually get hired at the factories. So they didn't have to steal, so they didn't have to break the law. And that was the reform. The change came when, I think it was Reagan got into office. He claimed the war on drugs. Just say no, Sherry. Just say no.
No.
No. Just say no to drugs. Do you think it works?
No.
Well, why?
Because people have free will and they're going to do drugs if they want, and they're going to sell drugs if they want.
Oh. So at the end of the day, now we have folks that have been locked up for 12 days, and it doesn't matter if they let them loose right now or 6 months from now. They've been locked up for 12 days or 11 days. They're mad.
They are.
I would be mad too.
I also would be mad.
And I think that I know that prison guards are known for beating prisoners to death, for planting objects in their cells and drugs in their cells, for pinning prisoners for specific crimes within the prison system that they didn't do. That doesn't mean that all prisoners are innocent, because we know that they're not, right? But at the end of the day, all it takes is one prison guard that has reign over one prisoner and doesn't want to let them get loose, or let them do their time and go home, and doesn't like them, and they do everything they can to make their life miserable. And I think that that's where the angst is. In fact, I don't know, it was about a month ago, we had our local authorities, there was a fight at the bar, right? And long story short, the police officers shut off cameras, their body cams. They made people leave out the back door. I don't know the whole story. I know that I read it, but I can say that if you have the ability to just shut off a camera and your excuse is not a valid excuse of why your camera was off, oh, I forgot to turn it on, is not an excuse to turn it off, especially when you have people that have cameras within the building, right? So I think, how do you think that we should fix this generational angst with authorities against the general public? I honestly think there should be a clear line written, right? And I'm the law and you're not. And you're going to do what I say, and that's it. That's what I think. And if you don't, I think it should be across the board, the same for everybody. You sell a bag of heroin, you go to jail for 5 days or whatever, right? You rape a person, you go to prison, or you get hung or whatever, right? Everybody should get the same. Not, oh my God, you did 65 days in treatment, and now we're going to drop all your 10,000 felonies, and we're going to call you reformed.
The problem with that is there's still going to be mean people that have more power than the people that have less, the bad guys, quote, right? The cops, there's still going to be bad cops. It doesn't matter if everybody gets the same punishment. There's going to still be good cops, and there's still going to be bad cops.
You know good cops?
I do.
I don't. The cop's a cop.
I don't agree. Just like there's bad people and good people, and bad teachers and good teachers,
But a cop's still a cop. They're still a cop.
But some of them are still human and have empathy and treat inmates, criminals, people that they pull over.
What are you talking about, cops or COs?
Cops.
Oh, yeah. I know one person that's a cop, that's a police officer, and I don't know if she's a good cop or a bad cop, but I have respect for her. But I have respect for her as a human being. I don't have respect for her job. I have respect for the whole police union, as doing their job. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to do it.
It's like anything else. The 3 bad people make it bad for the good people.
Well, why don't they get rid of the bad people? I'm curious.
Because I feel like the people up here in the administration are also bad.
Oh.
Not all of them.
Oh, what good ones?
Some of
Could
them.
you name a good one?
No.
You don't know any.
Well, I don't know all the upper echelon
Well,
of
you don't
that
know
admin.
any is the point, right? You know one, right?
I do know one.
And how do you feel about him?
I have no respect for him.
Oh, I wonder why. Did he do something wrong?
Yeah, he didn't treat people
The same. Across the board.
Across the board.
Right. And so that's my whole deal. That's how they can fix it. But you can't have one cop arresting people and saying, oh, you know what? You only had 2 grams of crack cocaine on you, and arresting the next guy. Oh, you know what? You had actually 3.5 grams of cocaine on you. You go to prison for 20 years. You go to treatment for 90 days. I don't think that should be a thing.
No.
Now, I've been in trouble with the law, right? And I've gotten away with stuff that I didn't get caught for, right? And I actually got arrested for things that I actually didn't do too, right? When I was 12 years old, I got arrested for burglary, right? And my brother actually did the burglary. I wasn't even there. And I even had receipts of where I was that day. And they made me plea out. They scared me and said that I was going to go to a little boy's home or whatever, and that if I didn't plea out, that the owner of the house was a well-known man of the community, and he didn't want to be looked. They didn't want to make him look bad, right, by losing. So it was either I fight it and lose, guaranteed, he told me, or plea out and get a conditional discharge. Well, what do you think I did?
You pled out.
I pled out, right. And that's what a lot of people do. So now you have people that think that they can get away with stuff because, well, they can snitch or they can whatever, plea out, right, and get a lesser charge, 90 days in treatment as opposed to 20 years. I know a guy, my sister's husband, 24 and a half years in prison for selling crack 2 times. He sold it 2 times. Now, that doesn't mean that he didn't sell it a whole bunch before. He got caught 2 times. 2 times he got caught with, like, I think, an 8-ball or maybe a little bit less and a $20 crack rock. 24 and a half years in prison he did for that. You think that's fair?
I don't, because there are people that have committed more heinous crimes and gotten less time. The system is not equal.
No, and so that's how we fix it. Everyone says, how do we fix it? How do we fix it? How do we fix it? Well, we damn sure don't give the prison guards what they want, and we damn sure don't give the prisoners what they want. See, this whole thing with unions isn't like it used to be. Unions used to stand up for people and fight for people's rights to work and have a good, decent paying job. And now unions don't do anything. In fact, I watched a girl get locked in a room at one of the local agencies for like a week. She did something what was unethical. They called her on the carpet, and they could have just fired her, but instead they made her sit in a room in an office by herself. She watched them take all of her clients, and she just sat there waiting for her outcome. And she tried calling her union rep, no response. Tried calling a union president, no response. For the whole time, no response. And she finally said the F with it, man. I'm out of here. I'm quitting. And that way she couldn't collect unemployment if she quit.
Correct.
Right? So it's like this huge game that we play, and I don't know. I'm just not with it, Miss Sherry.
Me either. I want everyone just to get along and be nice to each other.
So now we have people down the street from where we are at right now, like our wires. We have people that are down for there's people feeding the prisoners and giving them all the stuff that they want and are taking care of them. And I mean, not the prisoners, the prison guards.
Yes.
I personally think that if you're going to give prisoners half good stuff, you should give them all good stuff. In prison, for those of you who don't know, in prison, if you get noodles, right, like say elbows, right, for goulash or something, they cook them for so long in the water, they waterlog a noodle that's this big and it ends up this big, a big spoonful of mush.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And so they treat people like that. And again, I think that people are in prison for a reason. It shouldn't be a fun ride. But I also know a guy that did 36 years in prison and doesn't know how to read. They let him out. He did his time. He reoffended. Why? Because he doesn't know how to read. He doesn't know how to read. And so that put him in a place of he has to reoffend. He has to do what he did before he got locked up because that's all he knows. And that's what he did in prison.
Yes, there should be reading, there should be education, so they can get employment when they get out of prison. So then they don't have to reoffend to feed their families, themselves, what have you.
I don't know that they'll ever get out of prison and take care of their families.
They might.
I have never really seen it. Very few and far between. Probably 1 out of 20 does it.
Well, that's one.
Some people get a fire lit under them and they change their life. But again, for that to change, like if I take my own life into account on what it takes to change your own life, I wouldn't say that it's worth it. I wouldn't say that the uphill battle that you have to climb only to get kicked in the face in the end is worth it. I don't think that life is fair across the board. I not just think it's prison or prison guards or prisoners. I think it's across the board. Life is not fair. And so what do you do with that? Well, some people get mad and they take it out on the community, and some people strive to work harder to better their lives. Some people totally change everything, like leave or, I don't know, go live under a rock or whatever. You know, they try to do things that are different. And kind of like that movie with like the two guys that went to prison, the black guy and the white guy. I forget the name of it, but they both get out of prison, and at the end of it, they're sanding a boat together. You know, they had like this big dream, and the white dude broke out of prison. He stole the warden's shoes and put them in a book and did all this crazy stuff and shimmied down the thing and swam across the water, and now he's free, right? And I want to say Schindler's List, but it's not that. That's not a prison movie. But anyways, that was a good movie. At the end of the day, that's how people live. They see if they can get over, and if they can get over, that's what they do. Whether it's over at work, over at the jail, over at walking down the street, getting benefits, getting Medicaid, not getting Medicaid. People are looking for a handout. It's just the way it goes. I don't look for a handout, although I'd take one if there was one to be taken, right? But I don't look for a handout. I try to do the best I can of what I do. And anyways, I think that was a pretty good. What do you think? What do you think that we should do as local patrons with these prison guards? Should I be driving by honking, laying on the horn? Yeah, get them, guys! Or because I tried to get one of the prison guards to come here and talk about what's going on, and he was about a 400-pound dude, big redneck fella, and you know, I know what he does in prison. He's the boss, you know. He probably got picked on his whole life, and he's taking it out on the prisoners, and he probably is a real punk, but you know, just like most cops.
So there's another tentacle, right? He has life experiences that made him a certain way. So if early in his life somebody had been nice to him, maybe he wouldn't be a mean prison guard.
That's your answer.
It's a suggestion of, if we can, you've met me, I'm positive. I think that if people were nicer to other people, it would make other people be nicer to other people. And eventually, most people would be nice to most people.
Not in this lifetime.
It would take a lot.
It's not how it works.
Well, it requires cooperation on all levels. Right?
Want to know what I think?
What?
I think we should go back to the Wild Wild West. I think everybody should carry a gun, and I think if you're a badass, whatever, I think you should go down to downtown at high noon and have at it, man. I think you should. I think we should all fend for ourselves. I think there should be no dependent on the government to pay our bills. I think that if you have kids, you should raise them. You should go to work, whatever you got to do to raise them. I think that that every man for himself. I think we should fight it out. I think may the best man win. That'll reduce population. It'll reduce costs in prison systems. It'll reduce costs in local municipalities when it comes to food stamps and people living on government assistance. I think that that's what we should do. I think that that would give a level playing field for sure. Because when you go downtown at high noon, and Jed Rose down there, or whoever's down there ready to meet up with you, and you guys are going to have what is it called? When they do the draw thing?
A duel.
Yeah, they're going to have a duel, and who may the best man win? I think, oh, well.
So the best man doesn't always win.
That doesn't matter. Well, the best man does because he's winning. He's the guy that won.
Yeah, but that doesn't make him the best man.
If he's better at shooting.
Yeah, but just because you're better at shooting doesn't mean that you should be the best one.
I do think that. actually.
So then all the nice people are gonna probably perish, and it's gonna be Mad Max.
Part of it.
It's not.
It is.
It's awful.
That's how it started.
Everybody should just be nice.
We all came over here and took over the land.
I agree. That was not right.
Us white people came over here and took over the land. Now we're saying, let's close the borders. Nobody's allowed in. You're from a different country. You're not allowed here. I don't agree with that. I think everybody should be allowed here. And I don't want to hear, oh, they do the paperwork. My ancestors didn't do no paperwork. There was no paperwork. We came over here and did the wrong thing. We took it over. Now we're saying, now we're going to lock you up. If you're a person of color, we're going to lock you up. And it's what do you call it? New age slavery. It's institutionalization at its best.
I agree.
So I think that if we go downtown at high noon and the best man doesn't win, the best man, that's all in the eyes of the beholder, right? Like the best man, first of all, has to know how to shoot a gun, right? And protect himself and his people, whoever his people are. Could be just his wife and kids, could be his family, could be whatever, right? He has to be the best at that. And if he's not the best at that, then he's probably not going to be the best man for anything else, too. Because survival is first and foremost in anybody's life. We have an inner, drive to survive.
So just because you're the best man doesn't mean you're a good man.
Agreed. But then Judd Rowe or whoever comes along after the best man who's not a good man wins and takes out the guy, down at high noon downtown, fairly, duel, and then Judd Rowe or whoever, Mad Max or whoever wins. And then he starts implementing his ways or whatever, right?
Right, and now
it's kind of how the sheriff was born.
And then we end up right back where we are. Mean people being mean to good, nice people.
So there's nothing we can do to fix it.
I am gonna dig my heels in and say if we could all just be nice to each other, but it would take decades of that, and everybody won't play nice. So
I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna close out with this, if it's all right.
That's fine.
I'm gonna turn the news off. I'm not gonna watch the newspaper. I'm not gonna be involved in local politics or what goes on in the local municipality when it comes to people and or human service work. I'm going to prepare myself to go on a trip the best that I can, either by September or before September. And I'm going to ignore the rest of the world, and I'm going to live in my own little world with my own little people. And I will protect myself, but I will not go looking for trouble. So if people don't bother me, I won't bother them. And I think for me, that's the best that I can do to change whatever it is that I feel needs to be changed at the time. I could care less about the prisoners that are in there. I could also care less about the prison guards that are in there. I don't care if they got families. They signed up for the job, period. They signed, just like the president signed up for the job, just like the Congress signed up for the job, just like the police officer signed up for the job. They all signed up for the job. And so to cry about it now is wrong. And so for that, I'm going to check out of this. I appreciate everybody coming. Sherry, thank you for coming. You want to say last words?
No, I'm good. Thanks for letting me come.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. See you. Oh, I hope I recorded that, dude. That would be sucky. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. I didn't record. That fucking pisses me off, man. Oops, I gotta